Whoa. Okay. Well, I guess the aliens just dropped me off. Um, Today we're talking about what it is to be a director and why I got into directing and why I chose directing as like there's so many positions on a film set. Why did I choose directing as the one that I wanted to do? Well, we're going to get into that today. Also, we're going to be interviewing George Elias Presents today, and he's a director, and so we'll be talking to him about directing, and he has some stuff to say for us. So I'll save that for him. But first, to start off, we're going to start with how I got into filmmaking and how I got into directing. Well, you actually wouldn't expect where I started. I actually started as a game developer. I was studying game development, and I was also studying 3D modeling and taking computer science courses and things like that. What kind of like connected video game development and filmmaking for me was the storytelling aspect of it. So in a video game, you have these worlds that you're building, okay? And especially in video games, it can be crazy. It can be anything that you want it to be. And so coming from video game development and going into filmmaking with that storytelling in mind is really what gave me the passion to be a storyteller and tell these stories that I'm working on filming. Music video competitions is what actually got me from uh, video game developing into filmmaking. I saw a competition and it's from my favorite band. You can't see the flag, but it's a Fall Out Boy flag, and they're my favorite band. And they were holding a competition where you'd use their latest song, and you made a music video out of it. Okay, and I dove deep into the production process, so I learned about writing. I learned about story. I learned about um, things that I might need to do for a story. I learned and studied a lot of things all on YouTube back in 2017, and that's when I started, was 2017. I even casted it. I have I'll show you guys right now what it looked like. Obviously I've grown a lot from my I actually filmed this on a oh my god. Where's my other phone at? I filmed some of it on this bad boy right here, the Samsung Note 5, alright? So I filmed a lot of that on my Samsung Note 5, and I got a lot done with my phone. That's where I started filmmaking with my phone. I eventually got a stabilizer and worked that into what I was doing. But so I went from doing these music video for a competition for Fall Out Boy. I never actually got to submit it because I missed the deadline. I was exporting it and I just missed the deadline. So I ended up still being very passionate about filmmaking, and I kept networking and asking other filmmakers if I could help out on set, and I was really just looking to learn from other filmmakers. Along doing my research for filmmaking, I learned that a director is the one who focuses on the story and makes sure that when you're shooting, that the story is being told. However, whatever's going on during shooting, the director is there to make sure that the story is held up along with everything else, all of the decisions. That's on the director, but a good director is going to focus on making sure that story's told and making sure that um, everything else that matters is going on good for it too. I have some experience directing 5 music videos now, and I'm actually getting ready to go to a table read tonight to film this short film part of a um, music video that's going to be before it. Um, I'm super excited to actually be doing that now. The process of that music video started like 4 months ago at this point, and so I've grown as a filmmaker as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Back to where I started and where everything started. So, what was my first position on a film set? Well, I started working on some independent films with another writer and director, and I was an assistant director for that. So I would help out. We would just work together, cast just work on the project, try and get it filmed together. So the other role that I did on set, the second role was production assistant, which is PA, and a lot of the films that I worked on were not finished because I have no idea what happened to one of them, but it was a full feature film, and it was pretty dope. But I met a lot of people through there, and some people I actually still talk to today. So it's great. Network with everybody because you never know where these other people are going to be eventually. They're all there for a reason. They're there because they're passionate about filmmaking, just like you. So you should take your time and get to know other people on set because they're probably just as passionate and have their own beginnings. So, what this episode is about is how to get into filmmaking and being a director, okay? And so, my advice for getting into filmmaking is networking and talking to as many people as you can. When I was getting into it and I didn't know um, how to get on set, I just reached out to a bunch of people, and I also went to these YouTuber meetups and I networked, and I eventually got to trade shows and worked with other YouTubers, and then eventually I worked with other people regularly. All these networking things, everything that I've done from the first YouTuber meetup that I went to has led to today. From the people that I networked and started working with, just to get starting to save money for a better camera because this was my first camera, the Nikon D3200. This is not a gear channel. I will not be talking exclusively about gear, okay? But this was my first camera, and I use it mainly for BTS when I can, and I still love taking it on photo shoots because it's really nice 200 millimeter lens. It's still all kit lenses, but I love it. So I got that from Fong, and he wanted to work with me and do weddings and do a bunch of other things, and so we did a photo shoot together, and uh, I just started trying to get my portfolio together, and then eventually I worked with this other photographer, and I was doing a weekly show. So every week I was filming and editing, and it was a great experience to consistently be working and filming. And then eventually I was able to buy my own camera and make my own content and work for clients myself. And so I got my own clients. I reached out to a bunch of business owners, real estate agents, and other videographers, and I got clients through that, just reaching out and networking. That's really the best way you can get clients, really. So back to getting to know people. So when I was helping out and getting on all those film sets, all of that work was mainly for free. I was just getting experience, and I was working on learning the fundamentals of filmmaking, as well as writing my own stories and just writing as I could, because it's super important as a director. If you're a director on set, if you're asking for something, you need to know what you're asking for because the other people on set, it's gonna take a long time to set up for that. Eventually I was a DP for feature film, and they're like, okay, help us with the lighting. All right, let's do this. And we all work together and everything like that, because it's not a huge crew, but it's they had a lot of things planned out for the most part, but a lot of the things it was like, okay, when we get there, we haven't been to this location yet. Won't take that long to get it set up, but let's get it set up and figure it out and work things out. Learn when you can on set, but definitely make sure that you know what you're asking for. You definitely don't want to look like you don't know what you're asking for. So in 2019, I moved to Montana, and I only lived there for the summer, and I still focused on learning filmmaking. So I eventually got to work for this 48-hour film festival crew with this crew, and we actually won best dialogue. Okay, so let me know if you guys want to hear more about that 48-hour film festival. So the other thing that I can say about filmmaking, getting into filmmaking, is just staying persistent and consistent. Keep that passion. If you're really passionate about it, you're gonna keep going. So just keep going, and eventually those skills will build up, and you'll eventually start liking your work, even though you know you can do better and there's better, but you'll get somewhere eventually. Just keep building onto it, because that's how I felt for a long time. So that's a little bit about me. So what is a director, right? So my goal is to be a director, right? Well, I've been learning what I can about directing, and I've been directing short projects, small projects, but it's super important to learn from others that are doing it, right? So with that, today I've brought you George Elias of George Elias Presents, and we're gonna hear him talking about what is a director and how that works. So here's George Elias. Thank you, George.
Hello, my name is George Elias. I am a writer, director, producer, and occasional actor when I can't find anybody else. And I run George Elias Presents.
Hey George, what is some advice you would give to some people that would like to get into filmmaking and have a passion for storytelling?
How did I get into filmmaking? Well, filmmaking started when I was, I want to say 30 years old. Yeah. And what I ended up doing is I met this guy who was a director, but he hated writing. He found it too tedious. And that's where I came in because I love writing. And I had never written a film before. So we teamed up and we wound up making a movie together called The Boss. And it won 3 awards for the 48-hour film festival. And it was very, very well received. And after that, I guess you could say I was green. Like, the bug bit me. It's like, ugh. And I just started writing even more than I was before. And I kept presenting scripts to that director, and he kept kind of saying no or blowing them off or whatever. And I met other directors and I worked with some of them, but I noticed that I was so eager and ready to go, whereas everybody else made excuses about, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the budget, I don't have actors, I don't have the latest, greatest camera, etc., etc., etc. There's always an excuse, basically. And I noticed that, the more I wanted to do it, the less people were willing to try. Basically, I got into filmmaking because I got tired of people telling me no, that there was no audience for what I wanted to do, that there was no uh, interest in things like that. And I just was like, well, says who? How do you know if you don't try, basically? And then I've noticed in my time doing this that there is an audience for everything. Everything has an audience. So get started. To elaborate on question one, where to start? Well, I guess the best way you can say about getting started is literally that. Just get started. Just do it. Don't ask any questions. Just get out there and do it. One of the biggest misconceptions I see a lot of people do is where, especially when they're barely starting, is they're like, "Oh, I don't have the latest greatest camera. I don't have a cinema style camera, and I don't have a, you know, I don't even know it's a 4K, 5, 6, 8, 12K, whatever K camera." And it's like, just get out there and do it, man. You know what I mean? Just go. In the independent world, it doesn't matter about the latest and greatest. I even see some Hollywood films that are not filmed with the greatest thing. You know what I mean? It's like Bollywood and films out in made in Nigeria and films made in certain parts of Europe. It's like in South America as well. They don't care about that stuff. They care if the story is good, the characters are good, that it's exciting and it's good. Because in those countries, in countries where people can't afford things like that, it's like they make the best of what they have, and I think that we're forgetting that. A lot of people, they're just especially in the independent world, it's become so much about equipment and less about the heart. You know what I mean? It's so much about like, how many Ks does your camera have, and how many, what's the greatest microphone, how many thousands was your microphone, cost wise. And don't just do it, just get out there and do it. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel if you're driven enough, if you're passionate enough about it, you're gonna find a way to do it. You know what I mean? Nothing's gonna stop you. You're gonna want to find some way to do it. And if you really don't have anything to film on, because I always hear that excuse about, oh, I don't have a camera, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, but yet you got one of these. You got a cell phone. These things are great for filming if you got nothing else. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, they're gonna make the next blockbuster with it. Then again, I don't know, because look at the Blair Witch Project. That was made on minuscule budget, and it was made on whatever they had, available. And Exactly. Unfriended. That wasn't made with the best cameras either. It was made with web cameras, and then also like there's another movie. The name's escaping me at the moment. You know, if you don't have the best, you make the best of what you have. And it's like a saying I always say is equipment means nothing if you lack imagination. Get out there and do it because you could have the latest, greatest million K camera, but if you tell a mediocre, terrible story, no one's going to care. And then on the other hand, if you don't have the greatest camera in the world, but you have a really good story and you're able to produce a trailer or something that's good, you know what I mean? Just do that and use it to pitch it around to people, build a team. And then the way things are now, man, get out there and you men and women out there, get out there and build a team. Maybe you can't afford the greatest camera, but somebody has a really good camera, right? And you could be the director. And like, let's say you don't have the greatest sound stuff, but you meet a sound guy. There you go. You know what I mean? You don't know really how to edit, or you're not the best at it, but you meet an editing person. You go with them and vice versa. Build your team. You know, there really is no excuse. If you really want to do something, get out there and do it. If you don't have access to a camera, use one of these guys. They're great. And if you have a camera but you don't have sound, guess what? Again, use this, put it out of focus, out of frame, like right there. See? And there you go. It's not going to be the greatest audio, but it's audio. You know what I mean? And that's another thing to all you new filmmakers. Focus on your audio as much as you do your visual. Because people, for some reason, are very forgiving of the picture quality, but they're not as forgiving about the sound. And if you really don't know anything about sound, you don't know what to do, make it a silent film. I've made so many silent films because it was a windy day, but it was just beautiful. It was perfect. I didn't want to lose it. I didn't want to waste time. Guess what? We turned it into a silent film. And there you go. It's great. That's a good challenge to do as well for yourself. Make a silent film. There you go.
So George, what is it like being a director?
Damn it, Jaden. You want me to talk about what it's like being a director? Jesus. Uh, I'm not even that much of a like director, but here we go. What's it like being a director? Well, that's the golden question, huh? Like that right there, I can't really comment for other people. I can't answer for other people because I don't know what they would say. But for myself, it's rewarding. It's fun. It's getting to see your projects, your stories, your vision come to life is great. It's very rewarding. It's wonderful. And then when you're able to get to the point where people trust you and people have this faith in you because you've never steered them wrong, you've never proven otherwise to them, it's very flattering. You know what I mean? And it's a great feeling because there really is nothing like bringing one of your stories, one of your visions to life, especially something you're so passionate about, something you wrote. And it could be something you wrote and it's literally sat in one of your notebooks or your archive for like 3 to 5 years. I've done that, where it just sits there for years and you think nothing's ever going to happen with it. And then there it is. That's very rewarding. What's it like being a director? For me, it's great. I love it. I love that I've gotten to the point where people that I work with have faith in me and they trust me because I'm not going to steer anybody wrong. But one thing, though, that I must stress because a lot of people do this is you're a director, not a dictator. And I met a lot of people that want to just be rule with an iron fist. You know what I mean? They want to be just brutal and just mean to their cast and crew. They're just evil people. You know what I mean? And that's not good. You shouldn't be that way. You know, especially if you have people working for you for free. If you have people willing to give their time and their energy and whatnot to you, but you're not paying them, dude, you need to be a little lenient. You know what I mean? There's some people out there that their ego directs before anything else. They worry about their ego instead of the project, and I'm the reverse. When I'm directing a project, my ego goes out the door. It's about the film. How good is the story? First of all, for me, more than anything else, more than visual aspects and all that, is how good is the story. That is the number one thing for me. You know what I mean? Number two is then, how does it look and how does it sound? I put those two together. And then number three is try to get the best out of the actors that I had, the actors and actresses, as best as I can from them. And another thing for myself, I can't speak for the directors, is I will never ask my actors or actresses to do something that I myself would not do because that is not fair. So, you put them in something you yourself would do. Respect your actors and they'll respect you.
Well, all right. Thank you, George. You know, just like George said, it's super important to tell a story, and that's just the most important thing. And when that's the most important thing that you care about and that's what you're focused on, you just get it done. Thank you so much, George. That was amazing. You guys should go follow him on his account, George Elias Presents. He's amazing. He's really focused on storytelling, and it's not about the visuals, it's about the story. So, for me, a lot of what he talked about goes back to what I was saying about, it doesn't matter, I started with my phone. I started with editing on my phone. I paid for $5 for a thing. It doesn't. You don't have to pay for it, but just make something and do it all the time. Okay. So for me, what he said about just making something is super important. The repetition has given me the experience of being better. Okay, and then the other one that I gotta say is just keep doing it, and you will be okay. When you keep flexing those creative muscles and you just keep doing something and you just keep doing it, you will get so much more better at it when you keep doing it regularly. So just keep that up. That's what I would have to say and add to what I asked with George. So if you're really interested, just keep doing it, keep asking, keep reaching out, and learn, write, practice it. Put it into practice. Please don't just watch videos and learn about it. Definitely try and put it to use and put it something small. If it's just like a whole like one scene, just one scene will be so much better than nothing. Okay. Um. All right. This is gonna be it for me this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this was entertaining for you guys. I have a lot more things coming soon. Another interview, and I will be having a behind the scenes of the Don't Miss music video coming up in about a month. I will have another behind the scenes for Young Goat, a music video by Jack Gatz. He's a dope guy, a dope artist, and I really loved the music video. Filming it and editing it was a lot, was just awesome. And I can't wait to share the process with you guys. That's really what this channel is about, is sharing the process and bringing you guys along with it. I'm gonna be learning as well. Uh, uh, I'm not even a year into having regularly being making content on my own, so I'm learning with you guys. Aside from the 4 years that I learned fundamentals and started making small things, I'm learning with you guys on the bigger projects, and I'm gonna bring you guys with me. So let's do this. Stay tuned, guys, for some more stuff. And okay, I think the aliens are back to come pick me up. So bye.